All right, let's come back together. Come back together. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. Okay, great. So again, let's bring it. So again, right? What this seems kind of like, oh well, that's kind of straightforward. But again, offering examples that we're familiar with in tournament fencing or probably have seen in tournament fencing to exemplify a point, right? So the last hour that we talked about was, how Indes is a relative speed limit, right? And we can break that speed limit in different ways. So in that kind of philosophical strategic theme, what is happening, or what is the person who is strengthening doing in that language from the last hour? They're changing
the right way at the right time.
They're changing the speed limit. They're changing the speed limit. You're on a rural road going 55, and then all of a sudden you see a sign that goes to 35, and then like a local cop just behind, just being like, oh man, I'm going to get my payday, right? That's the metaphorical equivalent of going from, okay, my point is refused. There's a large window in which you can potentially work Indes. Now I have a smaller one, right? You've made that much more precise. You're deliberately changing the speed limit before you engage. You can also do it while you engage. But if I'm out in a long distance, like Zufecten distance, which is a lot further than people think, right? At this distance, if I'm playing my cards right, I could be meaningfully interacting in such a way that Ryan is paying attention, right? So if he's in a strong position, right, all of a sudden I'm out here interacting, right? If I'm here, right, and I have all of this to do, you saw how small that action was, right? I have to be much more careful using that as an entry. I can still use it to enter safely or to compel or create motion in 4, but I have to be very careful about the distance that I throw that from, because if I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a big action from here, it can tag the hands, or I can just get thrust in the face, right? I appreciate it. Thank you. This is how I get a lot of free chicken points in my pools, because I'm hanging out and people are just trying to do big actions from a distance where I can do small actions and I can just tag their hands. Or I can make them think in different ways. It's like, okay, well, you're close enough distance where I can provoke, and that makes you flinch, and I can go to a second intention, right? Because I choose or I adopt a posture that forces a changed speed limit of Indes, and they're not prepared for it. Does that make sense strategically, conceptually, right? Okay, so that is, talking about entering into Zufecten. So we want to be going from Zufecten to Krieg in a strong way, which is a really important concept that we talk about in my schools, right? You don't want to be entering Krieg while weak, right? You don't want to be entering Krieg while weak and then maybe get hit or doubled, right? You want to be entering in a strong way, which is why we started with strong position, Vorschlag, that stuff right at the beginning of class, right? But you can also break that rule in a way that makes sense in the concept of Indes. This is invitation. Right? We love invitation. What is invitation? Yeah, Jason.
So going back to that Nievenhut, the whole reason I do it is I want like a high action to the head.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So what does invitation mean?
You are presenting an opening, hoping your opponent takes it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're trying to direct their action.
Here's a question. If you are deliberately inviting, are you in vor or are you in nach? There's a debate here, right? It's not necessarily, yeah. You can compel motion by stillness, right? And how you choose that stillness or decide that stillness. So it's a little bit funky, and depending on how we specifically define vor and nach, it's not that clear. It's not just, oh, I'm following second. You could be trying to seize your vor, seize taking turn back. I lean more towards nach, but it's one of those, again, ideas that you're just like, oh, well, I'm moving second, therefore I'm in nach. That doesn't tell the whole story. So anyways, with invitation, right, I'm in a deliberately weak position, right? So what is Ryan going to do, being a very good KDF scholar? I'm weak. What does he want to do? Yeah, he wants to strengthen, right? Do I know that he's going to do that? If I have studied anything, if I picked up a book and done a couple reps, I should probably know this, right? What's he probably going to do? Do what you're going to do. Yeah, he's going to schießen, right? Shoot his point, right? So what can I do within that action, Indes that action? What's up? Exactly, right? Exactly. So we can work Indes through deliberately inviting action by being weak, point refused, so that we can work within our opponent's motion, right? So now we've defined invitation through Indes, okay? So now we're going to practice our invitations a little bit. In this case, hi Paul. We're going to do this action, for example, like the Durchwechseln, right? Where he strengthens in, I take my turn back and go. That only works if I work while he's acting, right? If I wait, if I wait to change, right, that's exactly what happens if I'm still. But if I'm too late, right, we'll get into that a little bit later, right? It has to be Indes that initial action for an invitation to be effective, okay? So back to your tapes, rotate. The mirror side is going to be the one inviting and strengthening to hit, right? Sound good? Back to your tapes. Hello, hello. And rotate. Sorry. It's good to see you, buddy.